الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله.
Now, out of the total 73 sects, 72 of them will reside in hell, while only one single group will find its place in paradise. Logically, that specific group would also be considered a sect, wouldn't it? Or if we claim there are no sects in Islam, then which one truly represents the faith in the end? The blessed companions asked the Prophet PBUH which one would go to paradise, and in response he simply replied, "What I and my companions are upon." He didn't name Deobandi, Barelvi, Ali Hadith, Shia, Sunni, Rafizi or Khariji. Otherwise, everyone would have adopted that name. So he clearly stated, "What I and my companions are upon." In doing so, he provided a powerful and distinguishing sign for everyone to recognize. That specific path which I and my companions follow today. This hadith has made everything absolutely and crystal clear for everyone. I have already taken the time to explain this particular hadith many times on previous occasions. But today I will explain it in the context of Muharram so that we can apply this hadith to the events of Muharram. We must see whether in the specific matter of Muharram we truly follow the way of the companions or not. As he said, "What I and my companions are upon." The Prophet PBUH did not say whoever follows the path of the Quran, because every sect attributes itself to the Quran and then to its own interpretation. He does it by choice because whenever a new sect forms within Islam, it will surely attempt to attribute itself to the Quran in order to gain some form of legitimacy. You see, the first condition of being linked to Islam is that you must accept the Quran. Therefore, any group will definitely try to link itself to the Quran. Otherwise, people would simply consider it to be non-Muslim. That is why the Prophet didn't just mention the Quran by name, but rather said, "What I am currently upon." This clearly shows that interpreting the Quran in a way that the Prophet himself did not practice or endorse, this kind of interpretation is simply not considered to be valid at all. It is not valid. Just listen to the speeches of today's orators, specifically those who are nothing more than ignorant and unlearned preachers. To keep the crowd fired up and emotional, they present strange meanings of Quranic verses, meanings which we have never heard before and which have never even occurred to the minds of our most learned and respected scholars throughout history. Who even knows where they are bringing these ideas from? Regarding such strange interpretations, the Prophet of Allah clearly and specifically said, "What I practice." However, even that is not enough. Some people will still interpret the Quran and it's the Prophet's own practice in a way that the noble companions, say it with me, simply did not accept. Actions on which the Sahaba did not act. So he further explained it as, "What I and my companions follow," referring to those who truly follow my own path and that of my companions. What exactly is that specific sect? It is the one destined for paradise. Do you understand this clearly or not? Now look, a very significant and powerful point has come before us. What is the actual distinguishing sign of the sect that will eventually enter paradise? It will not abandon the path of the Sahaba nor the path of the Prophet. It will look at the Prophet's teachings and observe how the Sahaba practiced them. The scholars have stated that whichever group is found to possess these specific signs, it means it is the saved sect. So the scholars gave it a specific and meaningful name based on this very important criteria given to us. The scholars gave it this specific name so that it could be easily identified and recognized by that name among all the other groups, to see whether this particular sect meets the high standard of the hadith or not. Two very important things were clearly mentioned in the hadith, the Sunnah and the Sahaba. The word Sahaba was interpreted as Jama'ah, meaning the collective consensus of the Sahaba, emphasizing not to go against their established path. That was rightfully called Al-Jama'ah, and the Prophet's own way was called Sunnah. Therefore, the specific name given to the saved sect was as follows. Our righteous predecessors named us Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Has that finally and truly sunk into your head by now? Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah are defined as those people who faithfully follow the prophetic traditions as well as the path clearly laid out by the noble and righteous Sahaba of the Prophet of Islam. But the great tragedy is that many people who follow neither the Sunnah nor the Sahaba have falsely adopted the name Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah for themselves. Though a name alone means absolutely nothing at all, what truly matters in the end is that your actual actions align perfectly with the Sunnah and the Jama'ah. So do not just blindly assume that every single group carrying the label of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah is heaven bound. No, you must carefully look for the actual signs. Check if they truly possess the actual traits and core beliefs of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Only then will we accept them as such. Otherwise, we will simply not consider them to be part of the saved sect. Are you understanding my point clearly, or is it still not making sense to you? I think the discussion has become a bit academically complex today. Sectarianism has become a massive topic. Everyone is peddling their own narrative while falsely claiming they don't believe in it. Just stop it, my friend. Just stop. There is no government restriction on you just talking, but none of this holds up in practical life. So those who were truly of Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, nowadays even within this group, every single person claims to be one of them. The specific and distinguishing sign for everyone to recognize, short form that emerged in Urdu is Sunni, derived from the word Sunnah. What was it called? Speak up, Sunni. This is the short form of Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Since Pakistanis didn't have the time to say such a long name, they started saying, we are Sunni. We are Sunni. So then, who exactly are we, my brother? Among the 73 different and diverse sects, which specific one is truly our own sect in this world today? We are known as Sunni, which is simply the short form for the Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Has this simple and basic point finally entered your noble head by now or not yet? Now those who are truly Sunnis have very specific and fundamental beliefs. If you hold those beliefs, you are a Sunni. However, if those beliefs are not there, then you simply aren't a true Sunni at all. You can keep applying labels all you want, just like the joke I often tell about the man who wrote the word rice on a bag that was actually filled with white sugar. People asked him, brother, it is sugar on the inside but rice on the outside. He said, to trick the flies, they swarm it too much. So what label did he use? Rice. What's inside? Sugar. Similarly, many people apply the label of Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah saying, we are Sunni. They have applied the Sunni label, that of the sect we believe is destined for salvation, but the actual content and substance that is found inside is not really the content of a Sunni. Remember, can the mere word rice really deceive a fly and stop it from being attracted to the bag? So can the angels be fooled simply by the word Sunni? Or God forbid, can Allah be deceived when the substance inside is not that of a Sunni? Can such a thing even happen? So that is exactly why I say to you, choose one single path for yourself. Either become a true Sunni or choose to become a Shia instead. Do not try to stand in both places or be something else entirely. One moment you're here, the next there, swaying around, acting like a Shia in Muharram, a Barelvi in Rabiul Awwal, and behaving like a decent human in Ramadan. I'm not saying Barelvis aren't decent people. I just mean that in Ramadan, a person acts as if they are an extremely pious and holy individual. Just look at the first 3 days of Taraweeh prayers. Right now, I'm not even discussing who is destined for heaven or hell or who is right or wrong. At this moment, I'm only explaining how our predecessors clearly defined the one single sect out of the 73 that will eventually be saved. If Barelvis meet these criteria, then brother, they are the ones saved. I am not calling anyone hellbound or heavenly. I am just stating the criteria. It could be that I fail while Barelvi brothers succeed or Shia people succeed. I am not definitively calling any one person heavenly or hellbound. I am saying that you should decide. Are you here or are you there? Do not dangle in the middle. It cannot be that one of your legs is in hell and the other leg is in heaven. You will either go entirely this way or entirely that way. Is this finally sinking into your head or not? So the Prophet, peace be upon him, clearly mentioned the sign of the specific sect destined for paradise as follows. Those who are upon that path which I and my noble companions are upon at this very moment in time. Now, what specific path and what kind of track were the Prophet and his companions actually on during that time? This was explained in great detail by Imam Tahawi, who was a truly great and renowned hadith scholar and authority within the Hanafi school of thought during his era. He was among the students of the students of the students of Imam Abu Hanifa. In that historical era, he wrote a very famous book which is known by the name of Aqidah Tahawiyya to all students of knowledge. In it, he wrote a comprehensive text detailing the creeds and the fundamental beliefs that define the group known as Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which was widely accepted throughout the entire world. And scholars from all over the world agreed that in order to be considered part of the Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, these specific beliefs are absolutely essential. The Ahl-e Hadith accepted it, and it is taught in their universities now. The Hanafis, Malikis, Shafi'is and Hanbalis all accepted it as well in their studies. It is taught in Saudi Arabian universities too. Though the author was Hanafi, those core beliefs rightfully belong to all of us. Through this, the Ahl al-Sunnah were being clearly distinguished from the non-Ahl al-Sunnah. A vital difference was being made. Do you understand this or not? What is the name of this book? Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyya. This book was written and accepted by the whole world because for every belief it used the Quran, Sunnah and consensus of the Sahaba as its guide, as the three primary foundations. It must be from the Quran, and that specific interpretation of the Quran which is supported by the Hadith, and that interpretation of the Quran and Hadith which the Sahaba themselves accepted. Consequently, all the righteous scholars throughout the world reached a consensus, and this consensus continues to this day, that whoever deviates from these fundamental beliefs is either not on the path of the Quran, the Prophet's path, or the path of the noble Sahaba themselves. It means he is effectively outside of the Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. By saying he is outside, we are not necessarily calling him a disbeliever or an apostate of the faith. Whether one is a disbeliever is a separate debate. Some are, some aren't. But he is not among the saved sects. Anyway, he is not in that sect for which the Prophet has given the absolute guarantee of entering paradise. Do you understand this point clearly or not? Now, what exactly do these core and fundamental beliefs contain within them for us to learn here today? It is that whenever the Ahli Sunnat wal Jama'at derive a legal ruling, its primary basis will always be these four things: the Quran, the Hadith, and the consensus of the Ummah. This clearly means that a specific interpretation will never be made by anyone at all of the Quran and Sunnah that goes directly against the consensus. As the Hadith says, the Ummah as a whole cannot ever agree on any form of misguidance. If you offer a Hadith interpretation that no one accepts, you're spreading misguidance. And the fourth principle is qiyas. Some issues aren't made explicit in the Quran and Hadith, but they are clearly hinted at. So what does a qualified mujtahid actually do in that specific case? He dives very deep into the complex meanings and themes of the Quran and Hadith in order to successfully deduce and extract those specific legal rulings for the benefit of us all. He extracts new solutions and rulings according to the specific needs of the times. Do you understand this or not? These are the four core principles of the Ahle Sunnat. Rulings are derived from the Quran, from the Hadith, from the consensus, and fourthly, from qiyas. Now I finally come to the actual topic of our discussion today. All of that was just the whole long and detailed introduction for you to understand. There can be no two opinions about the undeniable fact that the martyrdom of Sayyiduna Hussein, R.A. in Karbala, was a monumental event, was the most heinous injustice in the entire universe. There can be no doubt at all about the absolute wretchedness and misery of the person who dared to place a sharp sword on his blessed and holy neck during that dark event. Extremely cruel and wretched is he who moved forward to kill the Prophet's PBUH beloved grandson. He is truly a wretched and miserable person indeed for doing so. And ill-fated is he who set out at Ibn Ziyad's command to fight the grandson of the Prophet, PBUH. Whoever does not recognize this great injustice as a terrible atrocity is also effectively preparing himself for a place in the deep fires of hell in the afterlife and the day of judgment to come. Furthermore, a great and painful tragedy in Karbala was that not only was the noble Sayyiduna Hussein martyred on that dark day by the heartless enemies of the faith, but every single man who was with him was also martyred too.